Da begynner vi. Skal vi se.
In an old loft atelier in Oslo, Per Lundgren has been working on his figure and landscape paintings for the past 30 years. As for portrait painting, he considers it a self-examination aided by a foreign model, combining recognition, psychology and character in one fixed expression.
Skal vi se litt opp bak ødet. Litt opp igjen. Fint. Ja, fint.
I was thinking you could say something about using the sketch when you come back to the studio. I observe as Lundgren transfers a small landscape study onto a larger canvas, whilst aiming to improve upon the model.
Okay, I will do a try. Yes, sketches, it's a very fresh and rapid thing to do outside. It's called plein-air mostly. You catch what you get in an hour, perhaps 1.5 hours. And when you come back to the studio, you will figure out if it's worth to use it for some reason. For instance, to a finished painting. Yes. So what we have here now is a rather quick sketch done in the afternoon nearby the sea, the Norwegian landscape coming through, foreground, the sea level, the dim, and the sky. Yes, and some shattering clouds here and there. That's all we have, no more than that. So it's a fair good sketch, yes.
So do you see, would you try to translate that more or less directly, or do you see things that you need to change or transform?
Yes, absolutely change, because coming back to the studio, I prefer to let a sketch like this standing there for perhaps 2-3 months actually, and have a glance on it now and then and figure out what to use, what's the weakest part of it, what's the if it has something inside itself to be a complete painting.
But do you that's an interesting thing now, because you have some more sketches too, but do you see something, some atmospheric effect, and you try to just catch that, or do you see that this could be a specific motif?
Yes, good question, because from here to a finished paint, to do a complete painting, it could change for many reasons. Absolutely, it can. Perhaps I need to put in something very surprising things like a human being, some birds, more clouds, less clouds, and that will sooner or later during or when I go over to the finished painting, I will figure out what to do to the final point here. So sketch, it's about a raw material for perhaps it has 25-30% in itself that could be transformed directly over to to the canvas. Yes.
Okay.
So it's not more than that, but the atmosphere, the possibility, it go on in your own fantasy and your imagination and your plan in the end, what to do with it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about you. Remember we were here for the Hunt about Nerdrum?
Yes.
And we were talking about Hartwig.
Yes.
And I never forget seeing the actual Borg Island, how much he took away on the side of the mountain and created basically a totally different mountain. So there's a huge percentage of manipulation there.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is, absolutely. So it depends on your own, what to say, perspective. It could be a little more emotional. It could be that a sketch in itself has something more to bring to the final touch. We don't know that yet. So
you don't try to force it in any way?
No, perhaps I will go down with sync or place the horizon a little bit lower, a little bit higher. Perhaps I will stop, make it so diffuse, no out of focus. Yes. But in this case, I could count up at least 1, 2, 3, 4 horizon lines here. So that could be a challenge. So I have to concentrate also about what's going up, what's going down, what's repeat itself here and there. And of course, as a sketch, I have no complete plan yet for doing this thing. So during the painting, I will see, and perhaps I can explain more what's going on, or not.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I mean, you never know about sketches. They have their own life, and the final picture. That's yes, it's a result, or it's a continuing of the sketch, of course.
Yeah.
So we will see. Yeah. So it has some weak parts and some better parts. I prefer to say in this small sketch, it's about 30 to 18 centimeters in the format. Yes.
Yeah,
and
then you
size.
have more or less the same format here.
Yeah. So I prefer to have a canvas that's a little bigger than I normally use. So I could cut it, or I could drop it. Yes.
Right. Okay. So you won't use the whole format?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, I think so. But we'll see. Perhaps too. Yes. It's plenty space. That's what I prefer. And also the tone, I prefer to break it down to a warmer tone. Yes. And that suits me very well to have this tone.
This general tone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then there's
some patterns here and there.
The actual ground, and then this is turpentine.
Yes.
And paint. Yeah.
It's 2 layers of preparation with chalk and linseed oil, and so I also prefer to have a little rough surface. So that gives me a little feeling of life, actually.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's painted on already.
Yeah. It's it's a wind here, and I have to stop the wind and make it easy for me to make a painting. In the end of it. Yes. Shall we go on?
Yes, please.
Yes. I take a glance now and then on the sketch, but in my head I have already a kind of plan for this. And I start to wet my brushes with some turpentine and some medium that mainly will be a little linseed oil and some mastic solution, just a drop, and some benar, we call it. Yes. So what I mainly do is not using color at all, just to touch the surface. We will have another tone by these ingredients, also turpentine and oil. Little bit of that. You see a little darker tone here.
So draw without drawing.
Yeah, yes. No drawing. Is just some planning here, planning there. The horizon, yes, the horizon.
Just getting used to the format.
Yes, and let it swim by itself. A little touch of burnt umber and some gray-blue tone. So now I have to decide, it's going to be a study of the sky, the sea, or the foreground. Mm-hmm. So if I sink this horizon to this level, it will be a very much a sky study. You see?
Yeah.
So I prefer about this 1/3 up from the bottom, like that. So it will be a balance.
You get some sense of the soil of the earth.
Yeah. Yes, something like that. And normally I prefer a perspective that brings my eyes a little bit up. Let me say about 3-4 meters high. Mm-hmm. And then I'm looking down to the surface and up to the sky.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, that's my natural point of view, or not that's normal for me to start like that. So if I was a photograph, layer here now, I will be normally much lower. But I prefer to go up a little bit and look down on the foreground and the sea level, and then up to the skies.
Right. You kind of, what do you call those convex mirrors that sort of form the perspective?
Yes. Then you are free to choose about this. Mostly people are very, very eager to start to paint everything in. So I just mentally prepare myself to say, okay, it's going to be a direction like that, like that,
rhythm,
and then go back again. This is how I prefer to start and think about it. Is it something here in the middle that could be identified as something important, and then you have some levels down here. But I prefer to come back again like this, and here I don't see that in my sketch, but perhaps something here that makes a beautiful balance to break this completely line like that. Just touch over the horizon, and
it's still not decided what it is, but
but something to. This is coming up, okay. There is something in the sketch I got here. It's coming down here.
Yeah, the cloud.
Yeah,
okay.
It's coming up, go down.
Yes.
And it's something like that. And here it's going to not to repeat this line, but in the opposite, just a slightly opposite direction.
Why?
So because this is speaking to this.
They can't
the horizon
be
are speaking to
repetitive.
that. Yes, no, they're not going to be similar. That's a boring solution.
Yeah.
There is no solution to that. So
I see.
So you
see that there.
Yeah.
Or do you invent it yourself because you know compositionally it has to work like that?
Yes, I think it's. We will see. This is a minor thing, but mainly the horizon will be like that. Something in here that. Something like that, and here. This point is not going to, is coming down here.
All the time sort of mirroring
sky
and earth?
Yes, and it's a mingling. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They speak to each other in a way. It's a
rhythm. That they partake in one line or one energy or
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
here, so there.
And it's really important with this horizontal format to have the verticals going
for you.
Yeah.
Because it's, as I said, the sketch has 1, 2, 3. It's going to be many of those.
So you just get layers if you don't work against it.
So this is on the plan.
Just getting in the medium
plan. That is a plan. And it's nearly no pigment in this oil. but I will fresh up the tone from the canvas.
It's
It's
like
a little dried up,
Yeah.
so I just fresh it up a little bit with some oil.
Yeah.
And then when I go to the pigment on my palette, it will be more directly painted with what do I say, from the tube, colors from directly from the tubes. And then
You're sort of also preparing a wet and wet technique in some way.
yes.
Yeah.
And I will prevent that this horizon will be exactly in the middle. That's not a good idea. So,
Why?
because there is something in the eyes that tells you that it's not a good rhythm to divide the size of the canvas directly in two. It's holding the picture. So just a centimeter beneath this mathematical line will help the painting very much.
Okay.
So let's start. So just a minor. Okay, here warm, cold, warm, cold. Okay. The palette, the field, the battlefield between the warm and the cold. Oh, what a little accident there.
Oops.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So quite tough in the color.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you start applying
come
it.
on, like that, yes. So the brush must be like that. I prefer that one.
Broad.
Yeah, and very rough.
Yeah.
Not expensive.
Don't want to waste expensive brushes.
Yes, I prefer to have cheap
Yeah.
equipment and like that. Okay. This is no actually tone still. Add a little warmer tone into it. Okay. There is something hidden here that I'm going to come back to, and you're fading out the cold, diffuse line over here. And then it go up again to the sky. I prefer a little tiny blue. Oh, it's very strong blue. Yeah, that was absolutely too strong. It doesn't matter. So I speak about colors like some ingredients that go back to food. So this is a kind of spice, I prefer to call it. The color is a kind of spice that goes from strong or cold or wet or like that. And then, as I said, you're fading out here.
Thank you for checking out this video from the School of Apelles. To watch the full video and access our premium library, go to caveofapelles.com/subscribe and become a $10 patron. That's caveofapelles.com/subscribe.